Good evening, everyone. This is Mellissa Thomas with Florida National News coming to you with your evening news rundown for your Sunday, May 10th, 2020. And of course, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, to all the grandmas, the great grandmas, the triple greats, as well as the moms to be. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. And that actually leads us right into our audience question for the day. How did you spend your Mother's Day? And if you have the honor of still having your mom here with you, what special things did you do for your mom or with your mom, especially in light of the current COVID-19 pandemic and kind of remaining careful with the social distancing? Please let us know. Leave a comment below. We love to share our experiences with one another. We'd love to hear from you. Now, of course, guys, we love to share the latest COVID-19 numbers with you as provided by the World Health Organization and the Florida Department of Health. So jumping over to those numbers very quickly for you. Globally speaking, we're looking at over 4.15 million confirmed cases, over 282,000 confirmed deaths. In the United States, our numbers over here, we are at over 1.3 million confirmed cases, over 80,000 confirmed deaths. And here in the state of Florida, things are starting to come down a little bit for us in the state. Obviously, we're seeing a little bit of uptick as the state begins to reopen, but here are the Florida numbers for you. So we're looking at over 38,000 confirmed cases and 1,600 deaths here in the state of Florida. Now, jumping over to your world news, as it relates to COVID-19, the country of South Korea, for those of you who may be concerned about the nation of South Korea, they were a bright spot in the fight against COVID-19. However, they're warning against a possible second wave because they're experiencing something like that right now. Now, here's how this is happening. The most recent spike that they've seen is the current new number of total cases is 34 between yesterday and today. They saw a spike in their cases, which is the highest spike that they've seen since a month ago on April 9th. And this was as a result of them easing their restrictions and reopening their nightclubs. So as a direct consequence, they made sure to shut the nightclubs right back down. They are not playing around with that, and with good reason. So now that the nightclubs are shut down, South Korea is also considering reopening their schools right now. And for the safety of their students and to keep the numbers down, they're actually considering a social distancing and daily life approach as opposed to simply social distancing temporarily to lower the numbers and then reopen. They're looking at something that's going to be long-term, social distancing long-term as a part of daily life. But stay tuned right here, FloridaNationalNews.com, as we continue to bring you more updates where that's concerned. Jumping over here in the US, speaking of COVID-19, one of our foremost mouthpieces for COVID-19 and keeping us updated is Dr. Fauci. And as of right now, he's under a modified quarantine himself. He was recently exposed to a White House staffer that has tested positive for COVID-19. So as a result, he is under a modified self-quarantine. And he is now the third person that has had to do that has been in contact with this particular White House staffer. The head of the CDC, Dr. Robert Redfield, as well as the FDA, the head of the FDA, Stephen Hahn, is also currently in quarantine, which is interesting that such high profile people are the ones in quarantine right now as a result of exposure to that White House staffer. However, a representative from the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, which of course Dr. Fauci is the head of, the spokeswoman said that his exposure risk is very low and he will be regularly tested. So again, we will continue to keep you posted here at Florida National News where that's concerned. Now, jumping over to a little bit of other US news here, going to the state of Georgia. You guys have likely heard now about the current public outcry as a result of Ahmaud Arbery's killing in the state of Georgia, and the arrest of the father-son duo who committed the killing, Greg McMichael and his son Travis McMichael. Now, what's noteworthy today, the update that you probably want to know today, is that Jay-Z's Team Rock has actually penned an open letter to state officials in Georgia to demand fast action in the case against the McMichaels. So just want to give you guys a quick update on that. They penned an open letter to state officials, and other fellow signees of that letter include Alicia Keys, Mario Yo Gotti Mims, and Meek Mill. And for those who are in the hip hop into the hip hop world. You guys know Meek Mill is a big voice for social justice in the hip hop world. So they wanted to push that. They wanted to make sure to hold state officials accountable for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And just wanted to read you guys a quick quote from the letter, courtesy of Yo Gotti. He says, "We are all Ahmaud Arbery. Everyday activities should not end in death sentences. We must hold people responsible for their actions. Ahmaud Arbery was unarmed and innocent, and his killers must be brought to justice." And Alicia Keys echoed very much the same thing, saying that she has 2 Black sons and she feels that her sons should be able to go anywhere that they would like to, especially if they're jogging or anything like that, and not have to worry about their lives being at risk. She says it is an injustice when any person is murdered and their case is not solved. So stay tuned right here, FloridaNationalNews.com, as we continue to keep you updated on that, because of course there's plenty of outrage to go around where that case is concerned. And by the way, if you have something you want to express on that case, you can leave a comment below as well. We welcome your feedback, guys. For sure, for sure. Now, as we head into our Florida stories, what I'm going to actually do very quickly is to jump over to a commercial break, and I will be right back with your Florida stories. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. I'm Mellissa Thomas, of course. So jumping into your Florida update very quickly, and this one is non-COVID-19 related, but something else important that has been happening that COVID-19 has kind of eclipsed if we're not careful. However, there have been a recent brush of wildfires breaking out across the state. And of course, wildfires are nothing new to the state of Florida. Florida temperatures rise very high as we begin to approach the summer. And the wildfires that have been happening, of course, is not only a combination of high temperatures, but in some spots, a lack of rainfall. So last week, several of them broke out up in the Panhandle, very near to Pensacola, as well as in Walton County. There's a bayou there, and there was a fire there that caused destruction of several buildings, and over 500 residents had to be evacuated there. So again, just as a cautionary tale, while we are very much endued with COVID-19 and everything that's happening with the virus, we still also have to be very aware of what's going on physically around us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to remain safe wherever you are in the world and keep your eyes peeled. All right. Now, jumping over into some business news for you. The U.S. President Donald Trump has promised to give farmers over $3 billion in aid to kind of assist their industry right now. The U.S. government will be issuing $3 billion to be able to buy dairy, produce, and meat from farmers to kind of help them as in terms of working on their produce and their crops, because they've had to dump so much of it because their produce and crops are usually very perishable. You guys have heard the stories of folks pouring tons and tons of milk or tons and tons of veggies and things like that down the drain, or having to burn it or throw it away. And in a country where we always talk about food waste and people being hungry at the same time, this is obviously a very valid concern. But we'll keep you guys posted on that as well. We'll hear a bigger announcement with regards to that with more details next week, because that's when the funding is meant to be issued. Now, jumping over to a bit of sports news for you guys. As you recall, we were talking about UFC 249 coming up this weekend. And hey, it happened in a fanless environment, which issues in a brand new era of sports right now, at least during the pandemic. The UFC 249 made sure to carry on. They made sure to do what they were doing, but things were a lot different this time. Because there were no fans, the officials, the coaches, even the sports broadcasters, things were a lot louder with them. The sports broadcasters sounded a lot more like fans. But the experience was still an exciting one for those who were on the property. And the key personnel wore their masks. They wore the PPE as necessary. And hey, we'll keep our eyes peeled here for more updates where that is concerned as well, because as you know, we know a lot of these leagues are reopening, they're starting their trainings. So as games begin, we'll continue to keep you posted, as with our lovely Casey Hudson, as she brings you the FNN Sports Take every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, so before I get to the entertainment news, I will be right back. I'm going to take another quick commercial break. Stay tuned.
Mercury agents everywhere are saving people hundreds and are also there to help save the day.
That was fast.
You covered.
Thanks, agents.
Watch out!
That's my car!
Don't worry, we're here to help.
For savings and service above the rest, you can count on Mercury. We're on a mission to save you money.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown as we close things out with a bit of entertainment news for you. And you guys heard us talk about the passing of little Richard yesterday. However, what a lot of people didn't necessarily hear about is the passing of another music icon, Andre Harrell. Now, for those of us who follow hip hop and R&B, this man was the architect of the late 80s and 90s music. He created the soundtrack essentially for the late 80s and 90s. He put artists like LL Cool J, Mary J. Blige, even Sean Diddy Combs on the map from back in the day, as well as big groups like Guy and Heavy D and the Boys. So for those who grew up in that hip hop era, this is an icon that many people are missing right now, and I'm sure you will miss as well. Folks like Mariah Carey were very emotional at the loss of Andre Harrell. He was the founder of Uptown Records, and many of us are very familiar with that record label. And he was also the vice chair of Diddy's current media empire, Revolt Media. So they lost their vice chairman, and this was announced in an official statement that Revolt Media released yesterday, announcing and confirming Andre Harrell's death. They did not in the announcement share what his cause of death was, but they wanted to confirm that he has passed away. He was the age of 59. He had a long life ahead of him. So may God rest both of their souls, Little Richard and Andre Harrell. And for those of us who love that music, especially since it's Mother's Day, maybe play a track from the 80s and 90s, whether hip hop or R&B, to kind of celebrate and commemorate his life. And BET was actually already in the process of doing a documentary series about the formation of Uptown Records. And he was very instrumental in that process. And now that Harrell has passed away, BET has doubled down on their commitment to completing the docuseries. So if you're someone who watches BET and want to tune into that, be sure to stay tuned as they begin to air that docuseries here soon as well. But that does it for us here at the Evening News Rundown. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. It is a pleasure to bring you guys your quick bite of the news on any day of the week. If you haven't already, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook. You can find us at Florida National News, at FNN News TV, or at FNN News Live. And on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. We are there at Florida National News. We like to keep it simple, so you guys can find us very easily there. And I will be back here tomorrow with you guys at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be sure to stay tuned after that, because the lovely Casey Hudson will be back here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with the FNN Sports Take. All right, guys, hopefully you have a great rest of your Mother's Day. And, we wish you a great week ahead as you prepare for the week. Take care.